I thought I had built the perfect life with Jack. Then one evening he walked through the door with divorce papers, coldly stating I was a useless wife who contributed nothing to his success. The pain of discovering he was leaving me for Amanda, his younger coworker, nearly broke me. For weeks I believed him when he said I would never survive without him. I just smiled through my tears, determined to prove him wrong. Now, 6 months later, he calls me 20 times a day begging to come home. Before I share my story, let me know where you are watching from. Hit that like button and subscribe to see how I transformed from a devastated wife into a woman my ex-husband desperately wants back. I met Jack at my college friend Taylor's 30th birthday party 8 years ago. I was 34, working as a marketing specialist for a mid-sized agency in Boston. That night, I wore a blue dress I almost decided against because it felt too bold, but something told me to step out of my comfort zone. When our eyes met across the crowded rooftop bar, I felt that unmistakable flutter in my stomach that romance novels always describe, but I had never truly experienced. Jack approached with confidence, handing me a glass of champagne with a smile that made his eyes crinkle at the corners. He was 36, 6 feet tall, with dark hair that had just the right amount of silver at the temples. A financial analyst for an investment firm, he spoke passionately about his work without the arrogance I often encountered in finance guys. Our first date was at a small Italian restaurant where the owner knew Jack by name. He asked thoughtful questions about my work, my dreams, and my family. When I mentioned my passion for creating marketing campaigns that actually made a difference in people's society, he called it admirable instead of naive like my ex-boyfriend had. The whirlwind romance that followed felt like something out of a movie. Weekend trips to charming bed and breakfasts in Vermont, surprise picnics in the park when I had a stressful work week, meeting his parents after only 2 months and feeling immediately welcomed into their family. By our 6-month anniversary, we were discussing marriage with genuine excitement rather than nervous hesitation. Jack proposed on New Year's Eve under a sky full of fireworks. I cried happy tears, certain I had found my forever. We were married 6 months later in a beautiful ceremony in my parents' backyard. Everyone commented on how perfectly matched we seemed, how our vows brought them to tears, how lucky we were to have found such complete happiness. We bought our dream house in the suburbs 1 year after the wedding. A charming colonial with a wraparound porch and enough bedrooms for the children we planned to have. I would work in my marketing role while Jack continued climbing the corporate ladder. We discussed having our first baby within 2 years once we had settled into our new home, and Jack secured his expected promotion. Looking back now, I see the warning signs that appeared even during those supposedly perfect early years. The marketing professional with bold ideas had been replaced by someone who second-guessed every decision. The woman who once wore a blue dress because it made her feel alive now dressed to avoid criticism. I was becoming exactly what Jack wanted without realizing I was losing myself in the process. The changes in Jack began subtly, almost imperceptibly at first. He started working later, coming home after I had already gone to bed. My presentation at his office Christmas party was nice, but I should have practiced more. My agency was fine for now, but should not I aim for one of the prestigious downtown firms? Each criticism delivered with a smile and a kiss wrapped in the guise of wanting the best for me. I responded by trying harder. I took cooking classes. I bought new clothes that he approved of. I worked longer hours to impress my bosses, hoping for advancement that would make Jack proud. When my agency offered me a promotion that would require occasional travel, Jack convinced me to turn it down. We were planning for a family after all. How could I be a good mother if I was constantly on the road? I convinced myself this was a mutual decision, that these small sacrifices were investments in our shared future. We still had our date nights every Friday, took vacations to places Jack selected, attended dinner parties with his colleagues, where I played the role of supportive wife perfectly. From the outside, we looked like the ideal couple. I believed we were happy, or at least on the path to the happiness I had always imagined. What I could not see was how these small compromises were slowly erasing the woman Jack had fallen in love with. The marketing professional with bold ideas had been replaced by someone who second-guessed every decision. The woman who once wore a blue dress because it made her feel alive now dressed to avoid criticism. I was becoming exactly what Jack wanted, without realizing I was losing myself in the process. The changes in Jack began subtly, almost imperceptibly at first. He started working later, coming home after I had already gone to bed. His phone, once casually left on countertops or coffee tables, was suddenly password protected and never out of his sight. Weekend business trips became more frequent, though he shared fewer and fewer details about these supposed professional obligations. I noticed new expensive clothes appearing in his closet, designer suits I did not remember him purchasing, a gym membership charge on our credit card statement, though he never mentioned joining one. When I asked about these changes, his answers were vague or dismissive. I was overreacting. I was being paranoid. I was not supporting his career advancement. One Saturday morning, while Jack was showering, his phone buzzed on the nightstand. A text message preview appeared from someone named Amanda. "Last night was amazing. Cannot wait to see you again," followed by a heart emoji. My hands trembled as I picked up his phone, finding it unlocked for once. I scrolled through hundreds of messages between them, going back 6 months. Intimate details, plans for meetings in hotel rooms, complaints about me. When I confronted Jack with the phone still in my hand, his face transformed from shock to rage in seconds. He snatched the device away, accusing me of spying, of invading his privacy. He turned the situation around so completely that I found myself apologizing to him. Gaslighting, I would later learn this was called. My presentation at his office Christmas party was nice, but I should have practiced more. My agency was fine for now, but should not I aim for one of the prestigious downtown firms? Each criticism delivered with a smile and a kiss, wrapped in the guise of wanting the best for me. I responded by trying harder. I took cooking classes. I bought new clothes that he approved of. I worked longer hours to impress my bosses, hoping for advancement that would make Jack proud. I was preparing Jack's favorite dinner, hoping to reconnect, to salvage what felt like a rapidly sinking relationship. He walked through the door at 6:30 p.m., unusually early, holding a manila envelope. His expression was cold, detached, like he was about to conduct a business transaction rather than a conversation with his wife of 6 years. I will never forget his exact words. "You are a useless wife, Leah. You contribute nothing to my success or happiness." When I mentioned my passion for creating marketing campaigns that actually made a difference in people's society, he called it admirable instead of naive like my ex-boyfriend had. The whirlwind romance that followed felt like something out of a movie. Weekend trips to charming bed and breakfasts in Vermont. Surprise picnics in the park when I had a stressful work week. Meeting his parents after only 2 months and feeling immediately welcomed into their family. She was young enough to give him children and build the future he envisioned. The cruelty did not stop there. Jack wanted to sell our house immediately and offered me a settlement that would barely cover a few months' rent in a decent apartment. He claimed I had contributed nothing of value to our marriage or shared assets. The renovation work I had overseen, the entertaining of his colleagues, I had done my emotional support through his MBA program, all dismissed as irrelevant. His final blow was delivered with a smirk I did not recognize on the face of the man I had loved. "You will never survive without me, Leah. You are nothing on your own. You will come crawling back within a month begging me to take you back. But I will have moved on by then. Amanda and I are planning to buy a penthouse downtown." That night, after Jack left to stay at what I now realized was Amanda's apartment, I collapsed on our bedroom floor. The physical pain in my chest was so intense I wondered if I was having a heart attack. I could not eat, could not sleep. I called in sick to work for an entire week, ignoring concerned messages from colleagues and friends. I lost 15 pounds in 20 days, my clothes hanging off my frame like they belonged to someone else. I isolated myself from everyone who tried to help. When my parents called, I pretended everything was fine. When my best friend Sarah texted asking why I had missed our monthly dinner, I made excuses about work being busy. I was ashamed, humiliated. The failure of my marriage felt like a personal failure, proof that Jack was right about my worthlessness. Each day blended into the next in a fog of grief. I would find myself staring at old wedding photos for hours, searching for signs I had missed. I slept on the couch because our bed held too many memories. I avoided the kitchen where he had delivered his crushing speech. I was existing, not living exactly as Jack had predicted. I hit rock bottom exactly 3 weeks after Jack left. I found myself sitting on the cold bathroom floor at 2 a.m., surrounded by tissues and old photos, sobbing uncontrollably. In the harsh fluorescent light, I caught my reflection in the mirror, barely recognizing the hollow-eyed, gaunt woman staring back. The realization hit me with startling clarity. I was proving Jack right. I was fulfilling his prophecy of my collapse without him. That same morning, my phone rang with a call from Sarah, my best friend since college. I had been ignoring her messages for weeks, but something made me answer. Her voice was firm, no nonsense. "Leah, this has gone on long enough. I am coming over right now with breakfast, and we are talking about this. I am not taking no for an answer." An hour later, Sarah was in my kitchen making coffee and unpacking bagels. She looked at me with concern but without pity. After I poured out the whole story, she took my hands in hers. "Jack did not leave you because you were not good enough. He left because he is a selfish, narcissistic jerk who could not appreciate what he had. You are staying with me for a week. No arguments. Pack a bag." The change of environment was the first step toward my revival. Sarah's guest room became my sanctuary, a place free from the memories that haunted my house. Each morning she would knock on my door with coffee, refusing to let me wallow. "We are not giving that bastard the satisfaction," she would say. By day 3, she had convinced me to make an appointment with a divorce attorney. The lawyer Sarah recommended was Catherine Jones, a formidable woman in her 50s who had specialized in high-conflict divorces for 20 years. When I timidly explained the settlement Jack was proposing, Catherine actually laughed. "Oh, honey," she said, "he is not getting away with that. Not even close. I want you to go home and gather every piece of documentation you can find. Financial records, house improvement, receipts, evidence of his affair, everything." I spent the next week excavating our life together on paper. I found receipts for the kitchen renovation I had managed while Jack was busy with work. Emails discussing how I had supported us financially while he completed his MBA. Evidence of contributions from my own inheritance to our house down payment. Text messages where Jack acknowledged my career sacrifices for his advancement. And of course, the damning trail of his affair with Amanda, including hotel receipts, charged to our joint credit card. With each document I uncovered, my anger grew gradually, replacing the paralyzing sadness. This anger, Catherine assured me, was healthy. "Channel it into action, not self-destruction," she advised. When I mentioned the promotion I had declined at Jack's urging, she raised an eyebrow. "Call them," she said simply. "See if the opportunity still exists." To my surprise, my former boss, Laura, was delighted to hear from me. The position had evolved into something even better, leading the agency's new digital transformation division. "We had been hoping you might reconsider," she said. "The interview is a formality. We know what you are capable of." 2 weeks later, I accepted an offer with a salary 30% higher than my previous position. The physical transformation came next, not out of vanity but as reclamation of self-care. I joined a gym not because I wanted to win Jack back, but because I needed to regain my strength. The endorphins from exercise helped clear the fog of depression. I updated my wardrobe with clothes that made me feel confident and professional. I rediscovered old hobbies Jack had subtly discouraged, like photography and hiking with a local group. Through the divorce support group Catherine recommended, I made new friends who understood exactly what I was experiencing. Women and men who had also been blindsided, who were rebuilding their lives one day at a time. Their stories gave me perspective and hope. I also reconnected with old friends. Jack had gradually isolated me from rebuilding a support network he had systematically dismantled. The battle over our house became a symbolic stand. Jack assumed I would quietly move out, allowing him and Amanda to potentially move in. Catherine advised me to stay put, documenting all improvements and maintenance I handled. We filed a motion requiring Jack to continue paying the mortgage during divorce proceedings, given his substantially higher income and the pending equitable distribution of assets. Our first court appearance was scheduled for 3 months after Jack served the divorce papers. He arrived with Amanda on his arm, both dressed expensively, projecting success and confidence. The smirk on his face disappeared when I walked in with Catherine, professionally dressed, calm, and prepared with binders of documentation. I maintained eye contact with the judge throughout the proceedings, speaking clearly when addressed. The judge was not impressed by Jack's claims that I had contributed nothing to our marriage. The evidence Catherine presented painted a very different picture. A supportive wife who had made significant career sacrifices, contributed financially, and been betrayed by a husband having an affair with a much younger colleague. The court ordered a fair division of assets, including that I would retain the house with a reasonable buyout to Jack that was far less than he had demanded. As I established my new role at work, I also took control of my financial future. Catherine connected me with Maria, a financial advisor specializing in newly divorced women. Together, we created a comprehensive plan, investing my settlement wisely, establishing retirement accounts independent from Jack's, and creating an emergency fund that ensured I would never be financially vulnerable again. The final piece of Jack's carefully constructed narrative began to crumble 3 months after our court date. Through mutual friends, I learned that Amanda had left him apparently dismayed by the financial settlement that left him with less disposable income than he had led her to expect. His promised penthouse downtown had become a one-bedroom rental in a less desirable neighborhood. His projected image of unlimited success and wealth had been revealed as partially smoke and mirrors. The first call came exactly 6 months after our divorce was finalized. Jack's name appearing on my phone screen sent an unexpected jolt through me. I let it go to voicemail, listening later to his carefully casual message. "Hey, Leah, just calling about some mail that might have been delivered to my new address by mistake. Call me back when you have a chance." I did not return the call. The mail excuse was transparent. We had updated all our addresses months ago. 3 days later, he called again with another flimsy pretext. His phone, once casually left on countertops or coffee tables, was suddenly password protected and never out of his sight. Weekend business trips became more frequent, though he shared fewer and fewer details about these supposed professional obligations. I noticed new expensive clothes appearing in his closet. Designer suits I did not remember him purchasing. A gym membership charge on our credit card statement, though he never mentioned joining one. I was leading a team presenting at industry conferences, even mentoring younger women in the field. I had made genuine friends at work, people who valued my input and respected my expertise. Dating entered the picture, though casually and on my terms. I had coffee with an architect my friend introduced me to, dinner with a literature professor from the local university. These interactions were refreshing conversations with men who asked questions and actually listened to my answers, who did not subtly undermine my confidence or dismiss my interests. I was not ready for a serious relationship, but these experiences helped heal my damaged sense of worth as a partner. The house that had once been ours became truly mine. I hired painters to transform the living room from Jack's preferred beige to a vibrant blue that made me smile every time I walked in. I converted his home office into a photography studio where I pursued the passion he had called a waste of time. The master bedroom got new furniture, new bedding, new energy. I sage-smudged every room, a ritual that felt silly but satisfying, clearing out the negative energy of our failed marriage. 10 months after the divorce, I received an unexpected professional recognition. Our agency had submitted my team's mental health awareness campaign for a prestigious industry award, and we won. The ceremony was held at a luxury hotel downtown, covered by marketing publications and local business press. A photographer captured the moment I accepted the award, beaming in a silver dress that the old Leah would have considered too attention-seeking. The next day, Jack called 5 times. When I finally answered, his voice had a strange, strained quality. "I saw your picture in Boston Business Journal. You looked really good. The award is impressive. I always said you were talented." The mention of the journal confirmed my suspicion he was monitoring my life, perhaps through social media, mutual acquaintances, or local press. I kept the conversation brief and professional, ending with a firm "I have another call coming in, Jack. I need to go." The calls increased to an almost desperate frequency. 20 times in one day, most going to voicemail. Text messages arrived at all hours. Emails appeared in my inbox with links to articles he thought would interest me. Restaurants he remembered. I wanted to try music from bands we had once seen together. Each contact was an attempt to re-establish connection, to insert himself back into my daily life. 6 weeks later came the encounter I had been both dreading and curious about. Our mutual friend Jordan was getting married, and despite careful planning by the bride to seat us at different tables, a confrontation was inevitable. I arrived at the reception with a female colleague as my +1 wearing a red dress I had purchased on a recent business trip to New York. I felt Jack's eyes on me the moment I entered the venue. He sat at a table with several former couple friends conspicuously alone. I circulated confidently, catching up with people I had not seen since before the divorce, dancing with old friends, genuinely enjoying myself without the constant worry about whether my behavior met Jack's approval. 3 hours and several glasses of champagne into the reception, Jack approached me at the bar. "You look amazing," he said, his words slightly slurred. "I cannot believe how well you are doing. I heard about your promotion. The award. The house looks great from the outside. I always knew you had it in you." I thanked him politely, maintaining the boundary of personal space between us. When he asked if we could talk somewhere private, I gently declined. "Anything you need to say can be said right here," I told him. His face flushed with what might have been embarrassment or anger, perhaps both. After a few more drinks, Jack's facade cracked completely. He cornered me near the restrooms, his expression raw with emotion. "Leaving you was the biggest mistake of my life," he confessed, his voice breaking. "Amanda was nothing compared to you. She left me after 3 months. I have been miserable ever since. Please, Leah, give me another chance. We could start over. I know what I threw away now." In that moment, standing before the man who had once been the center of my world, who had then shattered it so completely, I felt an unexpected emotion, gratitude. Not bitter satisfaction at his suffering, not vindictive pleasure at his regret, but genuine thankfulness for the painful journey that had led me to rediscover myself. I looked at Jack with compassion rather than contempt. "I am grateful for our divorce," I told him quietly. "It forced me to become the person I was always meant to be. I do not hate you, Jack, but I have outgrown you. There is no going back. I wish you healing and growth in your own journey forward." His public breakdown escalated from there. The calls reached 20 or 30 per day. Expensive gifts arrived at my office despite my requests to stop. One Tuesday morning, he appeared in the lobby of my building, creating such a scene that security had to escort him out. My colleagues were concerned, my boss supportive, offering resources if I needed to pursue legal protection. After consulting with Catherine, I agreed to one final meeting at a coffee shop near my office with the understanding that this would be our last conversation. Jack arrived early, visibly nervous, better groomed than at the wedding, but with new lines of stress around his eyes. I kept the meeting brief and compassionate but firm. "I do not want you to call me anymore, Jack. I do not want gifts or surprises or grand gestures. The healthiest thing for both of us is to truly move forward separately. I have forgiven you, not for your benefit, but for mine. I refuse to carry anger or resentment into my new life, but forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. Our chapter is closed. Please respect that." To my surprise, he nodded, slowly, eyes downcast. "I never really knew you, did I? The real you, the strong you. I was so busy trying to make you into what I thought I wanted that I missed who you actually were." He looked up, a glimmer of the charming man I had once loved visible through the brokenness. "I am sorry, Leah. Truly sorry. I will stop contacting you." Today, 18 months after Jack walked in with divorce papers, my life is unrecognizable from what it once was. I sit in my beautiful home, the mortgage now solely in my name. My career continues to flourish with a second promotion on the horizon. I have genuine friendships with people who value me for exactly who I am. I have recently started dating someone who respects me completely, though I am taking things slowly, still learning to trust again. The greatest lesson of this painful journey was discovering that my worth never depended on Jack's validation or anyone else's. The devastating end of my marriage became the catalyst for my authentic beginning. What felt like destruction was actually a clearing of space for new growth. The woman Jack dismissed as useless discovered capabilities, strength, and joy beyond anything she had imagined possible. For anyone watching who might be facing a similar situation, please know that what feels like an ending can actually be your beginning. The person who walks away from you does not determine your value. Their leaving can be the gift that forces you to discover just how remarkable you truly are. What was your biggest takeaway from my story? Have you ever experienced something similar or know someone who has? Please share in the comments below. And if this resonated with you, give it a like and subscribe to hear more stories of transformation. Remember that your darkest moments often come right before your greatest breakthrough. Thank you for listening, and I wish you strength on your own journey of becoming.